welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We do want to encourage you to stay throughout the entire show because we're going to tell you about the Mother's Day giveaway. Also, Rough Stock Explosion tickets will be, you could be the proud owner, and Thomas the Train. We're giving away tickets and a DVD. But now Terry Roach is in the studio talking about body stabilization, body mechanics, as it says on the front of her DVD, a scientific quest to a balanced body to feel and perform better. Terry is a regular on our program, and we enjoy having her back.
That's wonderful.
Terry, welcome.
Thank you. It's very great to be here again.
Thank you for coming back. Body mechanics, as we talk about, stabilization, stabilizing the body. Briefly, before you tell us today what you will be showing us and demonstrating, why do we need to stabilize?
We really have no awareness of how to move, and unfortunately our lives dictate forward bending. So as we bend forward, we become dysfunctional and make the wrong areas do the work, so we have orthopedic problems. And so we're taught to stand up tall, but we stand up tall in ways that aren't as most efficient as they could be.
Show us the incorrect way to stand up tall.
So typically, we'll see a kyphotic posture, a rounded shoulder, or most women stand up too tall, or athletes with their shoulders behind their hips and their head slightly forward. So we're walking around through life with our body playing this proverbial tug-of-war. My shoulders may be behind my hips and the head goes forward, so you're loading the pelvis. This causes back problems, it causes knee problems. We stand in ways our feet are too narrow, that makes the hips roll inward, which in turn makes the pelvis go this way. So now ultimately I have to have a hip replacement in my 40s, 50s, and 60s because the joint's in a position where it always turns. No different than a shoulder, no different than the hip. So basically what we do is teach you how to move in an efficient way related to how you sit, stand, bend, walk.
I need 4 years of college and a degree to figure it out.
It's a process because we're basically
incorrectly.
And nobody's taught us how to move. And so it's basically getting people to think about their lifestyles and trying to create new habits and making them aware of where they are before they can know how to change it. It's like we have to see ourselves. You know, my shoulder's high on one side, this leg locks out more than the other, I sit into my hips. Well, over time, the body's going to break down, just like a building would break down.
That is amazing. That is so amazing. Today, you're going to be showing us what?
Getting in and out of chair, I want to do a quick review of posture, just to kind of remind you that as you're standing and looking at yourself in the mirror, your shoulders should be level, the hips should be level, and your knees and your feet and your hips should be in the same plane, as opposed to most of us stand turned out like a duck. That makes the outside of the hips do the work and the inside muscle can't fire. We stand with too much arch in our back. That doesn't enable us to use the diaphragm muscles as a support structure. So the back's doing 100% of the work all the time. So to change your posture, you've got to get to neutral, which means that if I look at you from the side, the ear, the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, the hip, the knee, and the foot should be in a straight line, and everything should be parallel. And then my philosophy is that we've got to learn to bend where you're bending from this large ball and socket of the hips rather than the segments of the spine. If all day you're bending over and pushing, pulling, and lifting overhead, the segments of the spine and the disc and the tendons become compromised because the muscles and bones aren't doing the work that they're supposed to. So we've got to get out of our lungs and chest, which we carry ourselves, and go back to how we breathe as babies in our diaphragm, so that you're enabled to set the diaphragm muscles isometrically. This is an isometric contraction. If I fail to set the isometric contraction before I apply power, well then I'm sort of plopping through life, and my ligaments and tendons are doing the work. Guys get in and out of a chair using their upper body like this. Women get in and out of a chair standing up tall with that book on top of our heads. So our body plays this tug-of-war. So my philosophy is, as you learn to move where you're bending from the hip socket, and develop strength in the muscles of the top of your thigh and your rear end and your diaphragm areas. This is what I refer to as your core area. It's not just this. Well, then your structure is supported symmetrically. So we want all the muscles working equally. The problem is our turning muscles do too much work. So we want to strengthen the ones that go front to back and side to side. So for example, as you get in and out of a chair, try staggering your feet. And this becomes a leg exercise as well, in that rather than leading with your head and your shoulders, you're actually going to use the legs and the pelvis to get you out of that chair. So a simple exercise that you could do is sitting on the edge of the chair, get your back straight, meaning everything's in the straight line. Stagger 1 foot under the chair where the heel is up. Tilt your body forward, your front legs at 90 degrees. Muscles can pull up or they pull down. So if you consciously pull them down and into your body, then as you apply force, you're using the legs and the pelvis to do the work. So